God, first Cody Ko's allegedly a statutory Stanley, and then now RawBeautyKristi has made the shift to, or the disappointing slow descent into Fundie. Like, this is so crazy. What's going on? What's going on? Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chelsea. You know that, I know that. I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and too many opinions. You're gonna be hearing that bulldog snoring because he is right below my desk. Snoring because he does not care. Sir, what are you doing? What are you doing? Wiggum, why are you in the ball pit? What are you doing? Mr. Man. Get out of there. Oh my God. So I do apologize for that, but he lives here and he's the light of my life. So other than my child. Anyways, so today we have a lot of opinions, and of course these are all just opinions. I'm not stating any of this as a fact, and it's okay if our opinions differ, if we don't have the same thought processes, if you still like someone's content after I make a video about them. I'm just putting out all this information that I have seen across the interwebs and showing it to you, because if I see it and think about it, you have to see it and think about it. Those are the rules. I don't make up the rules. So today we are going to be discussing RawBeautyKristi. Kristi, who goes by RawBeautyKristi on YouTube and Instagram, is a makeup/lifestyle content creator who has been on the internet for quite a while. She now has over 1 million subscribers and quite a large following on Instagram as well. Kristi's growth on YouTube with her beauty and makeup content was pretty steady, especially because she did take part in the NYX Face Awards, which used to be a pretty big deal. Kristi was seen as funny, relatable, and refreshing in a sea of dishonest, dramatic, controversial, and unethical beauty gurus in the beauty community on YouTube. Kristi has made many videos where she calls out BS, unethical behavior, and even one video that performed really well for her was the video she did regarding Jaclyn Hill's lipsticks, where she played chemist or scientist for a little bit, had a lab coat on, and even had a little microscope camera that she reviewed the lipsticks with. During a time on the internet beauty guru landscape where most creators weren't really speaking out against actions of the top tier of the industry, of the genre, Kristi was typically someone you could count on to be an escape and someone who was going to call it like she sees it. I do want to say this as well. I had enjoyed Kristi's content for years and years, up until her seemingly supporting James Charles and his brand. We will get to that in a moment, but up until that point, which I believe was last year, I had unsubscribed from her channel and haven't watched her content since, really, until I was doing research for this video. Now, Kristi is someone who I thought that she should always get into commentary content, because generally I thought that she had a great way of approaching certain situations and just having a way of speaking about certain topics that was very conversational, very approachable, and I enjoyed. Felt like I was just sitting here talking to a friend. And the reason why I do think that it would have been so smart, and like why I wanted her, selfishly probably, for her to make that pivot to more commentary type videos is, one, she has a huge following that most people, I feel like, aren't really focusing on makeup content and are more so there for the conversation aspect of her videos. Or at least that's how I felt. I don't want to speak for everybody. But then also the commentary space on YouTube, even if it's just general commentary, anti-scam commentary like I do, more like drama commentary, news commentary, true crime, anything like that, with the exception of true crime, that's primarily a more female-dominated space. But commentary in general on YouTube is more male-dominated, and it is a lot harder for women to break into that boys club, so to speak. And I mean, you can honestly count on one hand the girlies in the commentary community who have over 1 million subscribers and who do like actively like still put out that content and put out those numbers. And also a reason why I want her to do that, or wanted, let's say that instead, is because back in the day, if you've been around for a while, if you've been in this internet landscape for a while, you may remember where you first saw me. It was that video I made about John Cookian. Do you remember? I feel like I just said Voldemort's name. So back in, I think it was, 27? God, was it 2017? Ugh, yikes. John Cookian, one of the first, like, beauty drama channels. Peter Mon's watching this. I'm sorry, buddy. I feel like I just triggered him with that name. But with that, I had been on YouTube for like a year and a half, 2 years by that point, and had been doing beauty and lifestyle videos, right? My videos were always chatty because if there's one thing about me, I'm gonna have opinions and I'm a yapper and it's certifiable, okay? It might be unhinged, but here we are. I can't shut the hell up. Thank God I turned it into a career, right? Now, those beauty and lifestyle videos, girl, they got hardly like 400 views each. But then when I did commentary and started talking about stuff like that, those were the most views I had like ever gotten on my channel ever. 80,000, 100,000 views within like a short span. And I should have listened to those analytics, and I did not. And then after that, I want to say like a year or two after that, maybe, Kristi actually was very kind to me and had, done and maybe it was FaceTime or something, but she had done a call with me and we, had talked about a bunch of stuff, and she had even said and like encouraged me switching over to commentary is like a great idea for you and all that. But I didn't listen at that time because I was stupid. Should have done it, but whatever. Everything happens for a reason. So I do just want to say that I'm obviously thankful for her for encouraging that, even though I did not listen and taking the time to even talk to me back then. But two things can be true at once. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate her content that she made back then as well, and certain aspects of her content that she has made since then, but then also disagree with how she's done things, certain views, and all that. Two things, or rather many things, can be true at the same time. Okay. Now, another thing that I do want to discuss and that I've talked about with a few different creators as well, and, seeing current allegations regarding Kristi may seem out of nowhere, shocking. You just can't believe it. But then stepping back and looking at the full picture, personally, it's actually not that shocking at all. So let's get into it. Kristi not only gained traction on her YouTube channel after calling out a lot of BS, but then also the Jaclyn Hill lipstick video, but also due to her talking about the keto diet during the entire craze, really at the height of the craze of the keto diet trend, and of course discussing her weight loss journey as well. And Kristi has also been someone who has always been pretty transparent and open and honest and frankly vulnerable when it comes to her medical issues, her health problems, her history with all that, and infertility as well. And I will never forget where I was exactly. I can literally remember exactly where I was when I watched this video that Kristi put out, and everyone thought that it was because she hit 1 million subscribers. And I remember I was on a little weekend vacation with my husband at the beach, and I was in the little tiny shower that we had in this little villa on the beach that made it just sound so tropical. It was like 30 minutes away, but still, such a cute little place. And I'm in this tiny little shower, and I have my phone up on the window ledge, and I was like, oh my God, like she's gonna talk about how she hit 1 million subscribers. But in that video, it was actually not only, hey, I hit 1 million subscribers, that's amazing, congratulations, but then it was also her announcing and showing her pregnancy test to her husband. Kristi had talked openly about infertility for years, so that was awesome. And yes, I'm gonna admit, I was like very parasocially like so happy for her. But hey, that happens. And when you are a creator who is so open and honest about this type of stuff and so transparent to the point of oversharing, that parasocial relationship at times is not great. Of course, yes, it can foster a very strong community and, get you to the success that she has had and make it to where you can like move product and stuff, right? So that's great for you. But when you are someone who does have so much anxiety and medical related anxiety and are someone who goes, in my opinion, to social media to ask medical questions and like stuff like that, girl, what? No. Look it up on Reddit. It's literally what I do a lot of the times. Look it up on Reddit. Ask your mom friends. Talk to your doctor. And not in that order, actually reverse order. Reverse those and do it that way. And I don't know if behind the scenes she has done these things, but it really does seem like Kristi is someone who is constantly asking her followers like questions about medical things. And it's just strange to me. Then again, I'm the type of person that I'm like, stop asking me about my thyroid. It's fine. Like, you're going to get blocked if you do that. So can't relate. But after getting pregnant, Kristi was definitely someone who would talk about pregnancy a lot, and hey, that's fine. It's something going on in your life. Talk about it, of course. I feel like not enough people do talk about how pregnancy sucks, and I was very open about that. Pregnancy sucked for me. Giving birth, magical. Pregnancy, awful. Would I do it again? Right now. I'm not, but you know. And I'm not saying that when you are a mother, you shouldn't, talk about it to your audience. I mean, again, it's part of your life. If you're going to get married, you're probably, if you're at that stage of your life, you're probably going to be talking about that. If you're redoing a home, you're probably going to mention that here and there, especially if your videos are more chatty. If you get a new dog, right? I mean, you talk about aspects of your life. I don't know, the way that Kristi has done it, and I'm not trying to compare like me and her, but I am in the same industry. I do also have a young son, right? I just think it's very interesting to talk about them so much. And in the way that she does talk about her son as well, I have been looking back on a lot of her content over the last few days, and I have learned a new term called poop cup. I don't know if you guys are aware of this acronym, but it might be my favorite new term that I have learned. And it's okay if you talk about your kid like this, go for it, sure. I cannot relate. I am definitely someone who is more of like, I don't know, I guess like a realist when it comes to stuff like that. Like this little boy's feral. He's so funny and I just love him so much. But poop cup. All right. Poop cup stands for parents of one perfect child under preschool age. And yes, I always kind of did think it was weird how she like talked about her kid, because she's just like, he's so like angelic and perfect and blah, blah. And listen, I get it. That's my little miracle baby, of course. I, had a lot of miscarriages. It was a big struggle for me. I mean, I literally have a tattoo dedicated to my miscarriages. I need to add one more little berry on here though, because we had one right before him. And y'all can let me know if I'm just being a crazy bitch about this. But I don't think that like not to compare us, but I don't think the way I talk about my kid and then like the way she talks about her kid, I don't think I'm doing like emotional enmeshment or emotional incest. Same thing. I do now, looking back, think, and it's just my opinion, think that she's doing it because it's crazy. In my opinion, I'm sorry. It's also cringe that she calls her kid's kiddo or her kid kiddo constantly. And I'm just like, girl, please stop saying kiddo. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's probably just the autism. Just my autism. Anyways, all of these things about Kristi, I don't think like would be a problem, but then all of it together, now looking back, like seeing the big picture, I'm like, oh dear God, because it's been kind of a slow descent, if you will. And when things happen slowly, a lot of times we aren't picking up on certain things, right? So for instance, Kristi has talked about mental health and her cluster headaches for years. Kristi has also talked about medical anxiety for years. She has also shared a good bit of medical misinformation. She has also shared quite a bit of information now looking back that I can see that it really does seem like she is anti-medicine. And then further than that, she has talked about how she wants to homeschool her child. Listen, being in the US, I get it. And then also with, the Vidi Pando. I personally know a lot of people who did hire, I say a lot, there were a few different like little clusters or hubs or whatever you want to call them of like 4 or 5 parents that would split the cost, hire a teacher, and they would then have drop all their kids off at like one of the person's houses, whatever, right? And then the teacher who was qualified, or maybe it was even just a teacher who like a teaching assistant or like a tutor or someone who was out of work because of the pandemic and everything was online, right? So they were able to actually come in, whatever, they were tested. It was all, everyone was vaccinated and all that. That also helps with like the socialization aspect of all this. And then also having it so that kids like aren't falling behind, and doing things in person when you are having, smaller children is so important. So honestly, I think that's great. But also guess what? That's expensive and my kid's going to public school. But when you add in the potential or alleged anti-medicine rhetoric. And then you also add in the fact that her sister started a Christian co-op homeschooling school. And the video that they posted when they started the school, it's like, if you wanted your kid to go to, and I was thinking about this morning when I was watering my plants. I was like, okay, so you want your kid to go to a Christian school, right? Or you want them to have like God incorporated somehow into a Christian school. Okay, send your kid to a private Christian school. Like they have those up there too, right? In Washington. Just send them there. But still at those private schools, to be able to go to them, you would have to be vaccinated. So what's a workaround for that? I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that was my thought process of, okay, so you're not vaccinating your child. That's why you've like created this school. And then where we get a little bit more communist culty is where Kristi has now said that, or alluded to or said, or whatever her sister did. Again, I'll find clips and screenshots where she said that she is going to be hosting the school on her property. So she's going to be hosting the school on her property. And then they're also building her sister a house on the property. How much money does this woman make? Like, if all this was like separate, I'd be like, cool, girl. One of my like dreams, and like a few people in my family too, was like for all of us to live in like on the same street. Like another, like my cousins, he grew up in one house, and then his uncle was in another house. And then right at the end of the cul-de-sac was his grandma and grandpa. And I'm like, I wish. That's awesome. But also, there wouldn't be a school there, and it wouldn't be a church school, and our kids are still going to be vaccinated, and we would still be giving them medicine. It's been shown multiple times that Kristi's dad is allegedly a full-blown QAnon person who doesn't have a crazy boomer parent, right? But then also that paired with her sister starting a Christian school, and then her son going to that school, and then that school attending a parade in their local area and holding signs saying like, leave our kids alone. Like, what do you think that rhetoric and that sentiment is regarding? What do you think it's regarding? Literally, when I found this out, I was like, let me just sit with it. That type of rhetoric is so wrong, obviously, but and so ignorant, but just so dangerous. And being someone who we can assume that her demographic online is, let's be honest, most likely millennials. I fear probably gay. Maybe queer. I said this to someone this morning too. I was like, queer associated. Love that phrase. New phrase alert, queer associated. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, oh, so you're going to say that, just to have an umbrella, the queer community is coming after your kids or drag queens or whatever. Shut the fuck up. Who has the cases of pedophilia, child molestation, harassment, abuse, like the Fundies, and not all of them. I understand that. It's so disappointing. It's hard out here being a queer millennial YouTuber. I'll fucking tell you what. Lord, it has been a slow descent, in my opinion, into the fundiness of it all for Kristi. In my opinion, I'm not stating this as a fact, but just from what I've seen, it's like, okay, now that makes sense. Okay, now that makes sense. Okay, now that makes sense. Now, as someone who has had a lot of medical related traumas, dare I say, you can understand if she's distrusting of medical professionals or just, modern medicine in general. Medical trauma that she's had a history of, along with the passing of her mother, who passed from, I don't remember what type of cancer it was, but I'm pretty sure it was cancer. Vaguely remember, if I can find a clip, I will. Kristi had said once, and this always stuck in my head, and I felt like such an a-hole for even thinking this, but Kristi had said once, I'm paraphrasing here, that her mom had cancer, and then that her mom went on a vegan diet or something like just whole foods or whatever, right? And that she cured the cancer and she was fine. But then a few years later, she passed from cancer. And it's like, I don't think you know what the word healed means, because what are you talking about? And I remember at that moment, I was like, Chelsea, stop, that's mean. But it's also no, that's a valid thing to bring up, because it's what are you talking about? That's not possible, one. But two, what? So having this type of distrust in modern medicine passed down to you, also with being in an industry being a YouTuber, it is a very isolating job. You don't go to work. You don't have coworkers that you see every day. That's why when you do find people, me and Cheryl and Dale have talked about this a good bit, and me and her are starting a podcast. It launches on the 2nd of August. If you want to watch it, it is called the Here for the Clout podcast. You can subscribe to it. It'll be on YouTube, also, podcast platforms, things like that. It's in my link tree below if you would like to follow it. So please get on that. The Do We Know Them podcast, Jesse and Lee have talked about it too, and they'll probably talk about this topic as well. But they've talked about as well how like this can be very isolating, and how, since we are YouTubers, mostly all of our like coworkers or like best friends or people that we connect with regarding this job, because it is so different and it is so isolating. Mostly all these people aren't here, right? Like, I'm close to Jesse, I'm close with Lily, I'm close to Cheryl and Dale. They are all hundreds of miles or thousands of miles away from me. It's isolating. A lot of your people, it's digital communication, all that. So yes, it is very isolating. You're doing it in your house. You're in a room. You're working by yourself. A lot of people have editors. A lot of people, have other people they work with. I get it. But like, I'm in a room alone talking to my camera. I just had to kick my dog out because he's making too much noise. Not kick, he walked outside. All of this is just a recipe for disaster, basically. And it's so sad. So that trauma, having people in your family, be like this too, being isolated from your community or from just people in general or people with other thoughts, and then also or opposing views, creating an echo chamber essentially, but then also having, as she has said, such debilitating anxiety that you basically don't leave your house and that you like don't leave your spouse's side. And if your spouse is also someone who has all these same views, and he may, I don't know him, then that's also even more of an echo chamber. And that, in my opinion, is not a healthy situation for a child to grow up in. Like, that's very unfortunate. Some other things that I do want to mention when it comes to the like medical misinformation, because that's a huge aspect of this too. There have been a lot of red flags throughout the year. And I feel like because it was just, like I said, the slow descent, it was harder to see the full picture. But now, stepping back, I'm like, oh dear God, okay. So with that medical misinformation and the like true documentation of it, it's wild to me. So I remember a time when Kristi was putting up wallpaper in her son's room, nursery, whatever, posted her like a video of herself like crying and tearing it down because apparently it had lead in it and it was like peel and stick wallpaper. And she was like terrified that she's gonna like give her kid cancer because of like the like fumes. Very strange. Because then it's like, okay, well, like, does your kid not go out in the sun? Because wait till you learn about this burning ball of gas in the sky that is actively trying to give us skin cancer. But then also, if you're someone who's anti-medicine, allegedly, and anti-vax, allegedly, there have been people who have said, and we don't know if this is the truth or not, but who have said on Reddit that they have asked her if her son is vaxxed and she has blocked them, allegedly. And then, of course, there is the time, I want to say most recently, where she, from what I remember, didn't address it. What happened was people were seeing that Kristi was liking the posts from James's brand's Instagram, like the launch pictures of it, whatever. Then also like following him as well. And listen, Kristi has been someone who has like dabbled in commentary content. So there are even people that I follow that you would probably be like, Chelsea, why the hell are you following this person? I follow people who are problematic. I follow people that I've made videos about. If they have not blocked me, most of them have blocked me. But it obviously is different because we could just, not to say like dismiss that, but we could just explain that by saying like, I'm making videos about them or, it's research purposes, whatever. But Kristi isn't someone who is doing that typically. I don't want to be someone who is like, oh, well, just because you liked a picture, that means you support something. I've been accused of being a supporter of certain political people because I have liked a few posts here or there or followed people. I have also followed the opposing side and liked their posts, yet no one sees or cares about that. So I don't want to get into that because it's like, you're delusional, calm down. But it's so frustrating to see the slow descent now. And like, I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't see it previously. I saw the red flags here and there, but then looking back, I'm like, oh, wow. Someone who clearly has, in my opinion, a multitude of mental health diagnoses continuously from an outsider's perspective. I don't know her life like that. I don't know her mental health struggles. I wish her the absolute best with all of that because I gotcha. But someone saying, oh, I'm trying to get off this medication. I'm trying to get off this one. And it's like, get on it and stay on it. Like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to your audience, like asking, like, go to a doctor? But now it's kind of all making sense, in my opinion, of like, oh, okay, you're very distrustful, possibly, of modern medicine and all that. But then why are you asking your followers? Because most likely they're going to be like, girl, go see a doctor. What are you doing? One thing that I do think it would be like a disservice for me not to mention, because I know a lot of people messaged me about it, that they were disappointed, but Kristi had been, and I know I'm not crazy for this because I saw on Reddit too, a lot of people were really disappointed with it, but like kind of had the same viewpoint as me. Kristi had been talking about multi-level marketing companies and, that grifting type of making money on social media industry for quite some time, and had been talking about how she's working on a huge video regarding all of this. With how she was talking about it, I thought it was going to be a James Johnny. He's amazing. Love you, James. Take your time with that new literal documentary, buddy. You're doing great. I swear to God, I message him that all the time. He's the sweetest. I love him so much. He's very helpful too. I stan him. Unless he's crazy too, and I just don't know. I'll have his channel. I'll have everything he's done tagged below, or just him tagged below. He's amazing. So when she was talking about this, I thought it was going to be like that type of video, but it wasn't. It was very surface level. And my thought process here is, you know what? She has a huge audience. That's wonderful. That is amazing that we are now having more people exposed to this type of information who probably or maybe wouldn't have been previously. That's awesome. I love that. Do I love the way that she went about it? And in my opinion, and this is clearly just projection at me being bitter, at least I can admit it. But do I love the way that she phrased things, like, paraphrasing here, that she didn't think that people who are making this content are like doing it the right way because like they're shaming people? Sorry for shaming scammers. Yeah, I'm gonna shame scammers. And a lot of people will say, and she has said as well, we should focus on the company. Is the company the one spreading the specific lies to people and the one in your DMs? No. It's Bethany Lee Herberschnitzel in her long jean skirt in her white Cadillac on Instagram talking about time freedom and lying to you. So I'm going to keep shaming them. We should absolutely bring back shame. So I don't know. It's just that irked me as well, because I was like, girl, like, you know about me. We've talked. You've watched my content. Like, you know I make this content. Like, as arguably just fact-based, one of like the, like third, fourth, fifth, whatever. Within like growth-wise, like channel size, the like, let's say top 20 largest channels in regards to like specifically anti-scam commentary. Like, and we've talked. I literally have your phone number. Like, we've talked. You know I make this content. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. That just really frustrated me. She doesn't owe me anything, obviously, clearly. But I just thought it was, I don't know, I just thought it was a little bit of a disservice to people, not just me, I don't care, but a disservice to people who have been in it doing the work. For instance, like Hannah Alonso, who just got sued by Melaleuca. I can't. So, plus Hannah Alonso is way better than me. Go subscribe to her. If you're watching me, what are you doing? Stop. Go watch her. I love Hannah. She's amazing. We love her. It was a letdown, that video. But again, having that surface level information be presented to an audience that maybe wouldn't have seen it, great. We love that. You know what we don't love is medical misinformation, raising your children in enmeshment type of situations and posting that on the internet, and that's weird. But then also not showing your kid's face and not saying like their name and stuff. And now I'm just kind of having bitch eating cracker syndrome, and that's okay. But the more I thought about this last night, I was like, okay, so you're not showing your kid because, and I have a point, just wait. You're not showing your kid, love that for you. That's amazing. That's your choice. You're not exploiting them. Okay, great. You're not making your content him. Love that. Continue to do that, please. Or continue to not do that. And, she said his name before, but like, she doesn't say it, whatever. And I'm the same way. It's like, okay, yes, y'all have seen my kid. Most people don't know his name. We also make jokes like with, it's MJ Suarez, but like we joke around that like, one, I call him Bean. Y'all usually call him Bean or like Clout Baby or something like that. But then also we like make up names for him now to where it's like Mordecai Juniper Suarez or like Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or like just crazy Malachi Jaxper. Like it's hilarious. Like Mackerel Jackson, you know? Anyway, so I think like that's interesting to, you know, be like so protective of that and like protecting your kid from like the internet. Awesome. Go, love that. Go for it. Try to make it so he has like not a digital footprint from what, like when he's younger. That's great because I know I'm very happy that there's not a digital footprint for me prior to high school because holy cringe. Not even problematic, just cringe. Anyway, so to have that ideology, but then at the same time, potentially teaching your kid misinformation, having like enmeshment types of things going on, it seems allegedly, and then also having them isolated or like brought up with like this hateful rhetoric and just having all of like the anti-gay propaganda and all that. And listen, I want to make it clear, I am not saying that you can't be progressive and Republican. Everyone in my family, yes, is. But also, I say everyone in my family, not this household. We are on the opposite end of the spectrum as almost everyone in my family. But I know people are going to twist my words and it doesn't even matter at this point. If you know me, right? I hope I've made it clear over the years that I am progressive, pro-choice, pro everything, and love drag queens, hate misinformation, give me all the vaccines, poke that shit up. I'm already autistic and gay. All right. Good Lord. Okay. So I don't know. I think it's very interesting that like all this, and like I was just saying, I'm not making these blanket statements of like everyone who is, you know, Republican or more conservative or Christian is hateful and, you know, homophobic or transphobic or just anti-queer or ignorant, anything like that. I consider myself a Christian. I also am not going to force that on my child. I don't force that on anybody. That's a relationship between me and this ominous being that I pray to. So that's nobody's business. If that's something in a higher power or whatever, belief in something that has nothing to do with anyone else and doesn't affect anyone else, is something that helps you in your life, go for it. But to hide all of this in this aspect of your life because you know well, you would most likely not be as successful as you are and get the sponsorships that you do, which for the past few years, I have felt like the only time she does post content is when she does have a sponsorship. So that's disappointing too. However, we could say the same thing for me. But again, a lot of my content does get limited ads or demonetized and stuff like that. And because of all of the, like I have employees, I have people I have to pay, I have research I have to pay for, you know, other tools and stuff I have to pay for and all that. I have a lot more expenses and typical commentary channels do, more expensive than like beauty or lifestyle stuff. So these are all my points. Don't go cancel anyone. Don't, you know, hold someone accountable, obviously. I'm not telling you what to think or what to do. Just, this is not to incite anything, whatever. These are all just my own opinions and my thoughts. And I know I've been rambling and I know I am a little for almost crying in this video, but I am just so tired. Not only as a viewer, I know it's frustrating for y'all too, but also being not even a colleague because we don't know each other like that, but being someone who has looked up to these people and who is in the same industry as them to find out these things is so frustrating. Y'all know I don't talk about politics or anything like that. I don't. That's literally not my content. Yes, we talk about like the cultiness and stuff like that when it does come into things and all that. I'm never going to tell you what to believe. I'm going to give my opinion and kind of explain why I do have this opinion and present you information. I'm never going to tell you how to vote, what to vote for, anything like that. My main thing is don't be let's have separation of church and state. And hey, separation of church and state. And y'all know I've said that. I say that constantly because that's so important to me. If you don't agree with something, then just don't do it. That's it. Oh, I don't think that, you know, these types of people should be married. Okay, guess what? No one's forcing you to marry someone of the same sex. No one's forcing you to do that. You have that right. Okay, I'm crazy right now and I'm sorry I'm up on my soapbox, but it's so frustrating and I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed in RawBeautyKristi. The silence is so loud, It is so loud and it kills me. I hate it so much. I know this is chaotic, I'm sorry, but you know what? I'm just sick of it. It's very unfortunate. It's very sad. You can homestead. You can buy a big property. You could homeschool. You can go to church. You can plant stuff. You can wear overalls. You can have a weird relationship with your kid and not be a closeted homophobe. Get vaccinated so that we don't have measles outbreaks like we've already been having. I know there's going to be people who are going to be like, well, I can't get the COVID vaccination, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about regularly scheduled vaccinations. Thank you. Appreciate you. So let's listen to science. Yes, science is all about challenging things and learning new things and stuff like that. Thousands of years ago, we all thought the earth was flat. That changed. All right. But let's fact check. We're all doomed anyways. Why are all of our politicians a billion years old on all sides? Appreciate you. Love you. I'm really sorry for that rant. I know it probably made some people uncomfortable, but it has to do with this topic. I'm embarrassed. All right. Love you. Goodbye. RawBeautyKristi. If you watch this, please speak up. Please speak up. Feel free to text me. You got my number, babe. Yeah, I'm going to email her right now for a statement. Oh, also, how you're registered to vote doesn't mean you have to vote like that. I was registered to vote at, let me just say this publicly too, because people are pissing me off with this. As I said, I grew up in a very conservative Republican family. I am not that. I get really frustrated about it. Ethan, keep this in. I'm sorry for the rant, but I need to say this because this is my trauma. She's got medical trauma. I've got this trauma. So people saying like on Reddit and like, oh, I have proof that Chelsea's a, whatever supporter, Ricky DeSantis. Who's Rick? That's not his first name, is it? But it's just really frustrating because it's like, oh, I have proof. No, you don't. Are you in the voters booth with me? No, you're not. Because then you would see that, one, I get absentee ballots. Are you at my kitchen table with me? Because then you would see how I have voted for the last few years. Also, that's none of your business. But then also more than that, how you register to vote when you're 18, been over a decade since then. I've come out as a queer bisexual woman since then. I've been married since then. What? I was a literal child. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, sorry. That's just really frustrating. Our views can change and it's okay to not speak up on certain things, especially when it's not your content, but to make accusations based on nothing without even using protective language and to continue to go on with that, it's very frustrating. Okay? All right, thank you. Anyways, if you're subscribed, your butt cheeks. Oh my God. Speaking of accusations, I'm accusing you of having a grade A tush. And your feelings are valid, and I appreciate you. Just don't be open to other people's ideals and just try to be nice to people. That's all I care about, okay? Take a nap. If you're not subscribed though, you're dead to me and your butt doesn't look good. But if you do subscribe, you get a pep talk at the end of my videos and I tell you that your butt looks good. All right, I'm sorry this was insane. Hopefully Ethan can make sense of it and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.